Hello and welcome to the New Age Geek channel. If you're new here, building inclusive, safe people of all walks of life through the power of friendship, magic, and tabletop role-playing games. Tonight we have Investigation Check, our regular, irregular interview show where we dive into the lives of geeky creators to learn about their hobbies, passions, and the untold stories behind your favorite content. For tonight's episode, we have voice actor, world builder, and dashing and debonair Doug from Tales of Pantheon, not Greg. What's up, Doug? How you doing tonight?
Not Greg. Just to clarify, I'm doing okay. I like the dashing debonair. That's normally I refer to myself as somebody who claims to be funny. So dashing debonair I feel like is an upgrade.
I mean, you've got the swag, like just the people just look at you and be like, God damn, that man looks good in a suit.
That's the first I'm hearing of it. People need to be more vocal about that, I think.
I'll spread the word. So why don't you go ahead and tell everyone where they can find you, what you've been doing?
Yeah, I am Tales of Pantheons on all platforms. That's TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, especially YouTube and Twitch. Go check those out. And I run a bi-weekly Scion campaign. Scion was originally the White Wolf system. It's now its own specific system. It's about gods in a modern universe. And I really enjoy it. And next week, we're going to be at the panel for the the con for the creators, Onyx Path, which I'm incredibly excited for. So that's what I'm up to. And with you every week.
That's right. We do have that too. Yeah. Can you give any info on the panel, when it is, where it is, stuff like that?
Yeah. So it is going to be streamed live on the Plastic Age Plays channel on Twitch. And it's June 5th through the 7th at various times, though our show is going to be on the 6th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
And this is a streaming only con?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a virtual convention.
Okay, cool. I think that's it for intros.
I thought you were just going to say, I think that's it.
It's been a great interview.
That's it. Good talking to you.
Cam is very excited. And Cam will be on that panel as well. Or the show you guys are doing, not the panel. You guys have a show going on at that con too, right?
Yeah, on the 6th. On the panel is Friday, and it's just going to be me and like the CEO and writer of Scion, which I'm terrified.
I'm sure there's no imposter syndrome coming in on that one.
Yeah, definitely not at
all. Okay, so let's get started. Doug, I want you to paint me a word picture. I want you to bring us back in time. You're just coming out of mama's womb. You're crawling out and you are entering the world. What is kind of your first introduction into the geek space? Is it a show? Is it a game? Is it a movie or a book? People do read stuff.
So I did read. I do know how to read. My first introduction to the geek space, it's kind of like my initial impression is I want to say video games. I got into video games very young. I'm on the older side of the spectrum, but I'm getting them. So when we got a computer in our house, my dad didn't know how to do anything with it, so I kind of figured out how to set it up for him, like when I was very, very small, like 6-7 years old. And immediately, first thing that I installed was like Age of Empires, and just played that.
I thought you were going to say a virus.
Yeah, that too. Lots of those. But I think that, like, honestly, with my family and how my family is kind of structured, like my uncle was very big into theater, and that kind of stuff. So there's kind of always an air of kind of, I guess, the nerd space, like around me growing up, whether it was the traditional kind of what you think nerd spaces would be like video games or movies and that kind of stuff, or just kind of that self-expression through kind of alternative means of things like theater. Yeah, I think that would probably be my first kind of soiree into that.
Do you remember what that first experience was like when you kind of like the door open? You're like, oh, I like this stuff.
Yeah, well, I think so. I think the first time that I was like, okay, I like this kind of stuff was when I was very, very young. And this is kind of a flex. The first book that I ever read was La Morte Arthur, which was the King Arthur book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Death of Arthur, which is the famous. That's the old English one, and that was the first book I ever read when I was like 5 years old.
Jesus.
Yeah. I know that's my flex. It makes me seem smart, but you know, it petered off after that. But yeah, but like I remember from that point on, I was running around in the backyard pretending sticks were swords, and you know, wanting to be a knight fighting dragons, or you know, that kind of thing. So I think that.
What was it about that book that kind of like that really seemed to connect with you? Was it just the fantastical elements of it? Was the heroic themes?
I would say probably the heroic themes. That's kind of been like, I really like the metaphor of fantasy, and a lot of nerd content and spaces. Even if it's like a topic that doesn't entirely interest me, I like the metaphor. So when looking at like that book in particular, La Morte Arthur, it's less of a story about fantastical knights doing crazy things, even though it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's much more of a story about, you know, young men growing old and finding themselves and facing impossible odds and rising to the challenges, or even failing. You know, like the story of Arthur is a failure after a failure after a failure, but he's still, through his kindness and respect, is seen as a hero. And I think that that's kind of weirdly shaped a lot of how I view the world. Like still to this day, I would rather be nice than successful.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of that comes from, you know, messages imparted through fantasy stories of knights fighting dragons, even though that seems to be a weird parallel. But that's kind of always what, especially with King Arthur and that kind of stuff, the metaphor is always what stood out to me more than anything.
Okay.
It's a really obnoxious answer. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Why do you feel like it's important for people to see you as nice as opposed to being successful?
Oh, damn. We're going therapy session. I don't know. That's a tough question.
Sorry.
No, I like it. I feel like that's just who I'd rather be. Another kind of nerd experience that I had when I was young that I really attached myself to is the saga of Troy, and like the Iliad and the Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked, this is a deep dive, I'm sorry, but I really like Achilles. Achilles is my favorite character in the Iliad and the Odyssey. And one of the reasons why I like him is that he's kind of the first depiction of the hero's journey, because it's straightforward with him. Normally you see it as a metaphor, but his mother's a seer, and she's like, hey, you have two choices. Stay on this island and you'll live happy and have kids and die and no one will remember you, or you can get on that boat and go to Troy and you'll die within the next 10 years and it'll be painful and terrible and you won't have kids and you'll die alone, but everyone will remember you forever. And he gets on that boat and he sails off. And that's something that kind of stuck with me. And I can't go to Troy,
Mm-hmm.
but I can make an impact in people's lives by making their lives a little bit easier or nicer. And so I'm just, that's kind of like how I see my quote unquote hero's journey is. I just, when I inevitably go, as we all will until they put my brain in a robot body, that's kind of how I want to be remembered. I want people to be there having a party and not being sad,
Yeah.
being happy that, you know, I was around at some point. That was
Okay.
deep. That was a deep question, Joe. I like it.
Let's go a little bit forward in time then.
Mhm.
You've kind of made this connection with fantasy. Well, it's not even fantasy, I would say, with this like nerd heroic idea. What is your next kind of, what brings you around to more of like fantasy or tabletop games? Like, well, how do we start to go into that direction?
So that was definitely I was thinking about this earlier. It was definitely theater in high school. I did well, I played football for a few years and was terrible at it. But then I got into theater because my friends just dragged me into doing theater. And basically we were looking for more opportunities to kind of extend our improv skills.
Okay.
And one of my friends was like, hey, I've heard people talk about Dungeons and Dragons. What if we sit around and play Dungeons and Dragons? That'll help us do improv. And so we played Dungeons and Dragons, as an improv training session, essentially. And within like a year of starting it as an improv training session, I was printing out battle maps and painting minis, and that was it. I want to get a tattoo of my first character so badly.
Obviously, I need to know this first character.
Is Avernus Black, and he was a drunken wizard, and he was great.
Okay. So what about, like, obviously our first D&D experience, it can either be absolutely horrible or an amazing opening experience. It sounds like it was this great experience for you. What was it about?
Mixed.
What were some of the good things about that first game that kind of really showed you like, oh, this is an art form I can get behind?
It was, for me, it's always been around the role-playing aspects of it. It's being able to sit down and be somebody else for like a couple hours is incredibly fun to me. As you know, as a DM of mine, I'm not the biggest into combat, but when it comes to like RP and that kind of stuff, that's what always stands out.
Mhm.
And so I think that was what immediately hooked me, was sitting down and being able to look away from, like your insecurities or your nervousness,
Mhm.
and just being like, I'm gonna just be somebody else for a little bit, and who cares what anybody thinks. It's a very freeing feeling to just kind of slip into that. I think that's definitely what stood out to me and just made me immediately fall in love with it.
Just for shits and gigs, what was some of the negative parts of that first game that really stick out to you? Was like, oh, this is not good D&D.
Definitely one of the players. I still can't stand them to this day.
Fair.
Half joke. No, it was mainly because we didn't really know what we were doing. We set it up. We didn't want anybody to be a congruent dungeon master. So
Okay.
every game we played was a different member of the group ran a session, and that was a mess. I could not tell you what the story of our campaign was, like when we played for like the majority of high school, and I could not tell you what happened. Okay. I know that character, and that's it.
So you did this to kind of help with your acting and your stage presence. What skills do you feel like you got from in that first little bit that carried over in that immediate performance, we'll say?
I mean, my improv skills, I think, are very good. Not to toot my own horn, but like this is jumping way into the future. We'll probably talk more about it in a second. But I LARP once a month as well, and I've been told a few times that like scenes that I have with people are seen highly by the people that I interact with, because I'm able to stay in character and continue to bounce off. And that definitely comes from looking at Dungeons & Dragons as an improv skill. Not to mention moving down to Los Angeles and trying to get into acting, it made a lot of things seem more easy than I think a lot of people deal with, is like doing self-tapes or doing auditions. I hear a lot of people talk about how nervous they are when they do those kind of things, or how scary that is, or how they have no idea how to do them. For me, it was like, oh no, I'm playing a character. This is just a D&D session. You know, I'm sitting in front of a camera and I'm being somebody. This is normal. And I think that definitely comes from, like, I recommend to all of my acting friends here in LA, like, sit down and play Dungeons & Dragons. Just play Dungeons & Dragons. It's going to help your career. I promise you. Not everybody listens to me, but I highly recommend it.
So I want to just stick with the high school kind of this high school moment for a second there. Did you feel like in those D&D sessions that was translating to the stage presence you were able to have? Or is this something does it feel like this is more of a skill you build for the future?
I mean, it was a skill I built for the future.
Okay.
Although I will say that, like, one of my favorite things that I do think came from mixing the two was when I was in high school. I did the first time that I ever did Midsummer Night's Dream. I hate that show. I've done it 15 times. I played literally every character in Midsummer Night's Dream. I love Shakespeare to death, but that show makes me hate life. When we started doing D&D, and then we did that, and I was one of the mechanicals, and I decided to do a Scottish accent because my character in D&D was doing a Scottish accent. And I remember one of the parents came up afterwards to me and my dad and asked us where in Scotland we're from. And, like, my dad looked at him and was like, no, he's acting. He's doing
this is acting, guys.
Yeah. But I think that that was a direct correlation between the two, because my character in D&D was where I first tried to do an accent. And so I got good at the Scottish accent in D&D, and then went, I'm gonna try that on stage, and then it worked. So
okay. All right, I love it. So let's move a little bit further down the timeline then. At what point do you decide, you know what, actually I'm going to pause that. I know Scion is one of your favorite systems.
it is. Yeah.
When do we start to kind of dive into Scion from D&D, and why?
So that was so pretty much right after I got out of high school. I met one of my still friends to this day, love him to death, my buddy Adam, who was really my first DM who had experience doing DM. And we played a Ravenloft campaign that went 10 years. It was from when I was 18 to 28. We played Ravenloft. But for a brief period of time when I was like 19, he wanted to take a break from Ravenloft, and we did Scion. And it was the most fun that I ever had, was playing Scion. That was some of my favorite characters that I ever created. Some of my favorite stories. That there's if you watch any of the VODs on YouTube, I think it's the third episode of my Scion campaign is a full reference to that campaign, his Scion campaign. Yeah, it was I don't know. I can't even explain it. It was like a light bulb going off in my head of just like this. Especially because I love American Gods. I read the comics American Gods, and then when the show came out, I adored the show. And so it just kind of, and I always loved mythologies and like ancient religions and stuff. So it kind of it's a mixture of like all of my favorite things. Yeah, that's kind of, I was like 19 years old, and it was my friend Adam's campaign. I'll never forget it.
Real quick, you said that people can watch the VODs. Where can they watch those VODs at?
At Tales of Pantheons on YouTube.
There you go.
I really want more people to go over there. That's our like our, I don't know how the YouTube algorithm works, but go follow.
What is it about the Pantheon? Pantheon? Am I saying this right, or did I get mixed up?
No, Pantheons.
Okay. I started to say it, I was like, wait a minute, is that right? What is it about the Pantheon systems that is like really what draws you to it? Is it just the setting, or is it something specific about that way that game rolls that really like hooks you in?
Oh, the Scion system.
Cyan.
Gotcha.
I knew I
Yeah.
was saying it wrong.
um uh yeah, so it's actually really interesting. They've done a lot better since Onyx Path took over, but the original Scion system was terrible.
Okay.
It was so bad. So there was nothing about it that you should like. I just really liked the stories and the capabilities that they had.
Okay.
It's kind of why like my campaign that I run is entirely self-written. It's not the story from the book. It's completely everything from scratch me. And that kind of came from the original iteration of Scion being so innately broken.
Okay.
But they fixed a lot of it in second edition since Onyx Path took over. But one of the things that they kept that I really, what makes me love Scion's setting and mechanics is that there isn't, like, I'm trying to think of how best to describe it. It's very, very character driven. Like it's not like you don't pick up Fireball, you know, like you're not like, okay, I'm going to cast Fireball right now.
Okay.
You have a parent, and then your parent has a series, because they're a god, they have a series of purviews. So if your parents, one of their purviews is fire, you have fire.
Okay.
It's up to you to figure out how to use that.
So like Percy Jackson.
Yeah, yeah, that's what we get a lot. But like, it's with the mechanics of Scion that I really, really like is that it never at any point really gives you like, okay, you cast Fireball or you pick up this spell or you do this. You as a player have to figure out your own spells, your own way to use the engine. Which is why it's kind of so innately broken and kind of weird, because it is so incredibly sandbox. It's up, you figure out how to play the game on your own. It's very, very, very like, here is the nitty gritty behind the scenes. You make a character now, which is always like when I get people to play, and Camille can attest, is like whenever I get somebody to play Scion, the first thing I say is like, hey, making characters sucks. Just stick with me. I promise it's worth it.
You'll get there.
It's gonna take you 48 hours, but I promise it's gonna be fun.
So what is some of like the and this may be a little bit in the future, but what are some of like the nuance that it comes to creating a campaign in that world where your players can be like, oh, I have the power of electricity, let me dive into this fucking outlet, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How do you plan for that sort of thing?
It's tough. As my current players can attest, I know a couple of them are in chat right now. It's definitely, they have completely sidelined me a couple of times. But one of the things, again, that I love, it's something that I've taken into other tabletop campaign settings as well as a DM, is that at the beginning of the Scion book, it has a quote that or a little statement that I really, really like, is it says that you should not view being a DM as you are telling the story.
Okay.
You are Homer, they are Odysseus.
Okay.
So they're doing things and you're narrating it to somebody else. You're telling whatever they do, you're telling it 100 years down the line. And so it's again, with the improv thing that comes up, is that it makes playing Scion a lot of fun and DMing Scion a lot of fun. Because basically if they do something, I have to in the moment go, okay, I have this world set up in my head. How does the world respond to what they just did? Like, what I can't possibly determine what they're gonna do in that moment, but I can say how the world is going to react. It's one of the I'm really excited for the next episode, because they completely didn't do at all what I thought they were gonna do. So over the course of the past week, I've been like, okay, how is this gonna be affected? What's gonna happen? So yeah, that's again one of the reasons why I love Scion. Is Scion's a very interesting take on TTRPG systems.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna bounce off that then. What made you decide to turn the camera on and start recording? Let me ask this question first. Actually, is Tales of Pantheons the show you run currently the first show you've turned a camera on for?
It's the first one that I have run. Yeah.
Okay.
And it was basically like the simplest thing is that I wrote Scion when I was 19, and I really wanted to get it out there. I really wanted people to know about it. And yeah, it was kind of the cat that sounds vain. Like it sounds very egotistical, but it's just I wanted people to hear this story that's been locked in my head for 10 years. And I was like, I've got really good friends that are very, very talented, and if there is any time to do it and show people and get people involved, there's also a series of elements in my Scion campaign that gets the audience involved.
Okay.
Whether or not they know that's happening, that's the question. We don't talk about the man behind the curtain. Yeah, so that's kind of it's a vain answer. I almost feel bad giving it that way, but it's just I wanted people to see it.
I mean, so I've done these interviews before, and like when creators talk about like the vainness that it comes to in creation, like an author still has to put a pen to paper. Like they have a story they want to tell. I don't see the difference in what we do online and telling the story, and we just involve more people in it.
Yeah.
But you did say you turned your camera on before you started telling the Scion story. What was that first kind of like camera on? I want to be a streamer. I want to stream storytelling. What was that first experience? What made you want to do that?
Well, so I streamed on Twitch under a different name a long time ago when I was trying to be a video game streamer. I think we all did at some point. Which that was definitely fun. I was just kind of like a weirdo playing Conan with my friends, but didn't go anywhere, you know. But I joined the first time that I did a tabletop experience was I can't even remember. I can't remember the name of the channel. Yes, they're not around anymore.
Okay.
But so Ashlyn, Dollar Store DM, pulled me into a campaign that she was a part of, for a group similar to New Age Geeks, and they were doing a one-shot space horror thing.
Okay.
And so I jumped into that. We turned on the cameras, and that was my first time doing something like this, and it's been this ever since. I love doing this. I love being here.
How would you describe?
I love you, Joe.
How would you describe the difference for someone who hasn't turned on the cameras, we'll say, between you're playing at home with friends or you're playing online, maybe playing online with people? What is it like to turn those cameras on and enter into the more production side of things, and like understanding that you are on a show?
It's definitely a different experience. It's tough to explain because it's almost going to sound like I'm ungrateful for it.
Right.
It's tough. It's a lot of work. That was something that I didn't really like joining campaigns. Like if my whole entire thing was like just, you know, playing in your game, there's the promotion aspect of it, which is still like work, but doing like what you do and like what I do for my channel, it's tough. It's a lot of work. It's a second job that you don't get paid for right away for a long time. And it's the biggest thing that I can say though is that is express how worth it is. Like it's very, you feel like you've accomplished something when you get people and they're talking in your chat or they're talking about the things that you're doing. There's definitely, it makes all of that hard work feel very accomplished. Like I will always love sitting down at a table. I have a home game that I play with my buddy Jordan as the DM every Friday, and I love that campaign. That's a lot of fun, but it's very interesting the difference of like on Fridays I'm going and I'm hanging out with my friends and we're like relaxing and being goblins.
Mm-hmm.
But my Tuesday game and Scion is work and it is putting on a show, but then I walk away from every single session being like, look what we did today.
Yeah.
You know, like we did something. And that's a very, very cool feeling. Yeah, I don't know. That's the best I got.
That's a great answer. Do you have any advice for people that may want to turn on that camera?
Do it. It's not the biggest thing that I would say is the initial block is that kind of nervousness. Especially you might not get anybody watching your first one. That's okay. It's as generic as it is, I would say, with all art forms, and all content creation. Just do it. Stop thinking about it. Do it. Because I thought about doing the Scion stream for 8 years. You know, I wanted to do this when I was still living in Monterey, and I didn't even move down to LA yet. You know, like I've wanted to do this for a long, long time, but I kept telling myself I don't want to. You know, like it's what nobody's gonna watch. Nobody cares. Like I'm not ready yet. Just do it. It's push yourself through. Do the thing. People out there want to see your art. They want to see what you have to do. You will find an audience. There is people out there who absolutely adore you and just haven't seen you yet. Do it.
That's a great answer. So we've talked about
Just
Scion.
do it.
We've talked about Scion. We've talked about Tales of Pantheon. And real quick, when can people find Tales of Pantheon?
So Tales of Pantheons is streamed every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Tales of Pantheons on Twitch. Right now, we did 2 weeks back to back, so we will not be this coming Tuesday. But we will next week. We are the con, so we will be on Saturday from 11 to 2 Pacific Standard Time.
Okay, and this is your second season. Am I correct in that?
Yeah. That sounds like we've been doing it for a long time. My first season was 7 episodes, so we haven't been going on for years. But
if people want to watch those episodes, where can they find them?
On YouTube, Tales of Pantheons.
Which is why you should subscribe to Tales of Pantheons on YouTube. Okay,
It's a good story. I'm very proud of it.
So coming up into what you're doing today, I know you've got Tales of Pantheons, as we've discussed. You're also on New Age Geeks. Are you anywhere else right now?
No. Right now it's just those two.
Okay. So digging into the characters you've had on this channel, yes, you should, Bibble. I don't know if you are. I don't know if you're one of Doug's people.
Go subscribe.
Yeah, go subscribe. You have done some. You have had some characters on New Age Geeks already. I know you first came to tell the prequel story with us on Forging Fate's Ruination. What is it about that character, now that that story is over, and we are going to discuss spoilers, so if you haven't watched Ruination, sorry, it's a prequel story. Suck it, nerd. What is it about the character you created? Well, first off, tell the people about the character you created for Ruination.
The character... So for the prequel, that was so. I liked the concept of that character. I wish I could have done more with him. Mainly because I feel like it was kind of like an awkward intro of me to you guys being like, I'm gonna play a guy who doesn't talk a lot. But yeah, I liked the concept of, I had never played a cleric before. And I liked the concept of the trickster cleric, and I just really wanted to dive into that and play off of the concept of that, which we didn't really get into a lot with his character. But if he ever comes back, nodding at Joe,
he didn't die.
He didn't die. But I really liked the concept of him being he worshipped a god that was the god of lies, and he was a trickster cleric, but I made sure that everything he said was honest, because my concept with him the whole entire time was that he knew everything was a lie, so what's the point of expanding upon the lie? Being honest is more of a trick than lying. and I liked playing into that. I liked like doing those kind of things, especially like I liked the brief glimpse of when he got his mask knocked off and he went insane for a brief moment. There's a lot of aspects of that character that I would love to dive more into
Yeah.
if he ever does come back.
Well, we obviously do prequel shows, so maybe we can get something with guys. What kind of inspired you to make that character? Was it a story that you wanted to tell?
For that one, it sounds bad. I want to say yes. It was mainly I was just like I was looking at character sheets and I was like, what looks fun?
Hey, I mean that's the way some of the best characters come about, honestly.
Yeah. So yeah, he was more Guys was more of a like spur of the moment kind of creation.
Okay.
Especially I think I got pulled in like a couple days before launch too. So I'm glad I did.
Yeah. So that brings us up to what we're doing today or now with season 2 of Forging Fates. We do 2 tables, one of them being Shifting Sands, the other being Shattered Seas. You're part of the Shifting Sands table, and you've come in with this new character, Aberama.
Yep.
What kind of inspired this character? And I don't want to go into spoilers and too much backstory stuff besides what's been revealed in the show, but what can you tell us about, like, what's the inspiration behind this character? Why you wanted to create them? Is there a story you want to tell?
I mean, so in very contradictory to what I just said about Guys, Aberama, I put a lot of time and effort into thinking about. I like him a lot. He's a great character. You guys should watch. Subscribe. Yeah, no, basically, so like from his name to kind of like how I designed him is kind of a reference to my cultural background, which I definitely want to. I like incorporating as much as I possibly can. So I am half Romani and half Dutch. The Dutch part we don't need to talk about though. They've got all, you know, they had the East India Trading Company. They're fine. My mom is Romani, and so like Aberama is my great grandfather's name. And so I kind of designed, especially like with the background that I got with creating a shared backstory with Camille's character. And I kind of designed him around that kind of cultural significance. I'm trying to say things without spoiling things. That kind of, there's a lot of cultural elements to him, as well as like with his backstory of kind of moving around a lot and being kind of torn between 2 worlds. I think is very much, you know, I put a lot of time and effort into trying to create that cultural significance. Mm-hmm. That I hope that other Romani people will see and go, I get that. Mm-hmm. I get that. I get what you're doing there.
Okay. Do you have, like, I know plans don't go past, you know, session 0 essentially. Was there a story you wanted to tell when you created this character? Like, did you have any expectations in mind or anything like that?
I wouldn't say that I had like specific expectations. Again, like how I view playing tabletop games is very much kind of letting the characters kind of tell their own story, mm-hmm. just as it's happening. I do definitely, again, I'm trying to not spoil things. You know, but there's definitely aspects. Yeah, there are definitely aspects to his background and his backstory that will eventually come up that I do have expectations for, and I'm very, very excited about those moments that will come up, that were kind of touched on in like the session 0, and have been kind of referenced since. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I'm really excited about a lot of his backstory elements that are going to come into play at some point.
So, referencing kind of your origin with geekdom, you said that the hero's journey and like the constant failing along that journey, how has that kind of filtered into how you develop characters, whether it be Guys, whether it be Aberama, or some of the stories you've told in Tales of Pantheon? Do you see that as a touchstone that is carried across, or do you feel like that was just a jumping point and you've kind of evolved past that storytelling trope?
No, I think it's definitely something that I've kept. I can't think of a better way to say it, but as soon as you asked that question, the first thing that came into my head was I love a fuck up. Uh, it's definitely I very 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 like flawed characters. I hate the paladin, that's perfect and that does. I play a lot of paladins, just saying. But like so no hate to myself. um but no, it's I like flawed characters. I really really like characters that and I think Aberema is a good show of that. Is that I think that Aberema fits a hero archetype.
Yeah.
Like he's strong, he's noble, and he's pushing forward. But throughout our whole entire campaign so far is that he's not been great at what he does.
Right.
Like he's loyal and he's honorable, but he doesn't really know what he's doing. He's just a guy. And I love that.
Yeah.
I love that kind of overarching thing of, because that's reality. I love I love using a fantasy lens to look at human nature, and kind of seeing that aspect of humanity, because none of us are going to go out and succeed on the first thing, like unless you're born a billionaire. But the point is just keep getting back up. Yeah, as long as you always get back up, then that's what makes you the hero,
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think that definitely still tracks with characters that I create and stories that I tell. It's always just keep getting back up. That is my motif.
Do you?
I'm Naruto.
I was gonna ask. Do you see a lot of that reflection on that initial core ideal of like the hero's journey in the course of your life in this journey? Because it seems like there's been a lot of that, like constantly trying to improve the way that the things are, just improve the world in the way you're telling stories and the way you're doing things and the people you surround yourself with. And do you feel like that's always been kind of a core tenet of your personality at this point?
Yeah. I definitely. I'm trying to think. How deep do we want to go, Joe?
Let me get a fucking snorkel, bitch. We going deep.
No, it's definitely that. It's definitely shaped a lot of my life and how I kind of view things and how I move through life. It is because I won't lie, is that I've gotten knocked down a lot. I was homeless for a while. I've moved a bunch of different times. My parents got divorced when I was young. That's not a big one. 50% of marriages end in divorce. So it's like, but I also, like, on a deeper scale, is I deal with anxiety and depression, and I have Tourette's. And so, like, dealing with all those kind of things, there's one thing that has been constant in my whole entire life, and it's just don't give up. You could be laying on the floor coughing up blood, stand up. Stand back up. And that has gotten me, I think, to where I am now, even on just a level of being here. I like to think of it like one of the things that kind of like put things into perspective is my learning and understanding of Norse culture and the Norse mythos is like there's been a few times in my life where I've been really, really down and really, really struggling. And my immediate thought would be like, well, Odin doesn't want you to die in a ditch. Odin wants you to die with a sword in your hand. So stand back up. And I stand back up and keep moving. On like a slightly more humorous level, my friends from Monterey, I don't think Boca said he was going to be here, but I think he's working. But no, my friends from my hometown would know that my nickname in my hometown, whatever almost everybody knows me as, is Warlock. And the reason why they called me Warlock is that I would stand up for people in bars a lot and get into a lot of bar fights when I saw things of people, you know, being jerks and stuff like that. But I'm not a great fighter, so I'd get hit in the head and I'd fall down, but I'd stand right back up. And so there was a consistent joke in my hometown of being like, he has to have some sort of dark magic. He just keeps standing back up. He won't stay down. But,
I mean, I love that. I think that's great. I think that's a great kind of like mentality to have. But as we start to get ready to kind of wrap up our interview here.
Already?
I know, it goes
I'm
quick.
having so much fun.
I want to ask, is there any kind of dream projects or collaborations that you would love to pursue in the future?
Man, I don't know, because I opened with my baby. So I definitely I would love to keep expanding the world that I have. We have a separate show run by a different DM that's in my universe, and like she knows my big black book of secrets, and you know, and so that's a very cool aspect of it. And
Give her a shout out.
Oh yeah, Ember. On Wednesdays, or sometimes on Wednesdays, their schedule is more broken than ours. But when they're live, if you look at us on TikTok or follow us on Discord, you'll know when they're live. Yeah, I really like that. And like, it's tough to say things that I'm looking forward to, because since I started writing Scion 10 years ago, one of the biggest things that was in my brain was I was like, oh man, what a dream would be for Onyx Path to notice me.
Yeah.
You know, like, wouldn't it be cool for like them to just be like, hey, you're doing good, kid. And now next week I'm sitting on a panel with their CEO and the writer of Scion. So like, I kind of, it's hard to say that I have dreams to look forward to. I'm kind of right out the gate hitting my dreams.
Yeah, hitting that first goalpost.
Yeah. But I think in generally, like, I would like more people to see it. I would like more, you know, like, I would like to have more interactions with viewers and people who are not viewers who might be viewers, and you know, that kind of stuff. I think that would, sharing that story and having more of that connection, I think would be the big dream. The collab that I'm looking forward to is you, audience.
Well, let me ask you this then. You are having this amazing interaction in a week. What is something you're hoping to take away from that interaction? And I know what you're gonna say, like, I'm not going in with any expectations, but if you were to sit and describe the best thing that could ever happen coming from this meeting, what would that be?
I don't know. I would very much. I think you are right. My immediate gut reaction is I don't want to go in with expectations. But I think that my big thing, what I think would be the coolest, is that if people go to that stream and go to that con and go, hey, this guy and this team write and tell a good story. And we kind of go from there in, like, maybe in association with the company or something like that. I think that would be the coolest, in my opinion. But yeah.
Awesome. That'd be awesome. That would be so cool just to have that, like, just that connection there. To, you know, it's so awesome. I'm so excited for you. That's so cool.
I'm trying so hard not to freak out constantly. When they showed up in our chat live, I literally, like, Camille can attest, I looked over, saw that they rated us, and went, I'm gonna throw up. Like, that was my immediate reaction.
So this question may be answered by this already. What's a pivotal moment or turning point in your career that's kind of shaped the way you approach content creation as a whole?
I mean, that was definitely a big one. But I think figuring out, for me, it was figuring out algorithms and things like that, as weird as that sounds. But like doing clip posts and things like that, I very much kind of saw the actual creation aspect of it, like the take what we talked about earlier of turning something that is just like a game with your friends into content. And it made me really like, you can kind of tell looking at the first chapter of Scion to the second chapter of Scion is that like I put a lot more effort into like the backgrounds and the, you know, like in the first chapter of Scion, their little like character frames were just character frames. And the second one, I put little like, I designed little things on GIMP and like put them on the edges so it looks like it's a screen, you know, which I find a lot of fun in that. And so I think that, like, again, going back to the just do it thing, it is just getting out there and actively doing things was that defining moment. As weird as that sounds.
No, that makes perfect sense. All right, Doug. All right, Doug. The last question we have, the one that's going to be in the TikTok.
Yeah.
Get ready. Stretch it out. Crack the neck.
Okay.
Get looking good for the content. All right, Doug.
Yeah.
What message or impact do you hope to leave through your content on the Geek Space?
So I was giving a lot of thought to this. My message, I think, there's like a generic level to it of like I want my impact to be to show that anyone can do it. I want other people to be able to be supported, like with my other cast. I want to show that I'm more than happy to, and how easy it is for larger content creators to pick up smaller content creators and be like, hey, here they are, watch them do things. On a larger aspect of it, I want my message to be, it doesn't matter what you're dealing with, you can do it. You could be at the lowest point of your life. There are a bunch of people who care about you and love you, and they just don't know who you are yet. And create. Do what you want to do. Live your life. You're worth it. You're loved. And I can't wait to see what you have to create.
That is such a great message. That was awesome. That was amazing.
That wasn't what I prepared to say. It just came out.
That's usually the way it goes. We have an ad starting in 1 minute, apparently. Real quick, before the ad starts, if that's going to end our conversation for tonight, if you have a question for Doug, start putting those in the chat. We're going to get to every question that gets put into the chat, as long as it's appropriate. And while we wait for those questions to come in, we're going to switch over to our dicey questions. Root cause error. I'm here to ask you.
No, not you.
Ask questions you don't want to answer. I'm excited to get them in the chat. We're going to do a dicey question segment. Do 20 random questions determined by D20 roll. Doug, go ahead and roll me a D20 while those questions come in. We will not start answering questions till the ad finishes, guys. Don't worry. So put those questions in the chat.
So because I said not you, I feel like I have to explain. Root Cause has been in our chat since game 1 of Scion, and he predicts, he or she, I don't know who you are, you predict everything that I do. They've just been in chat being like, I know who this is. 17.
Okay. What is your favorite terrible movie?
My favorite terrible movie? Deathstalker 2.
Okay. Expound.
Yeah. So there is a series like Conan the Barbarian. Obviously, everybody knows Conan, but there are so many movies that were ripoffs of Conan.
Okay.
And Deathstalker 1 is horrible, but it was a very, very clearly like ripoff of Conan the Barbarian. And then they made Deathstalker 2, and were like, the first one didn't work because we just tried to copy Conan. What if we were just silly? So it's Conan the Barbarian, but if the lead was respectful, and like there's at one point when they're fighting a giant monster, they bring out like a old style boxing, like square boxing ring, and they're like, okay, put them up, and like there's like ring girls and stuff.
Is
My
it
face
like
is changing colors?
is it like a Monty Python sketch on Conan?
Almost.
Okay.
Almost. Like it's very, very silly, but I just I fell in love with it because it's again the first Deathstalker is like clearly a Conan ripoff.
Yeah.
The guy is massive and buff and like an asshole and disrespectful to women. But then like in the sequel in Deathstalker 2, which is the only good one, like he's kind of like shorter and skinnier and like it's just very silly. And at one point, like a gorgeous woman swoons on him, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know where to touch you. I don't want to be disrespectful." It's so good. It's so good.
All right, I love you sold me on this. I've never seen this movie. I gotta watch this.
Don't watch. I just watched the one that came out. They made a new one in 2025.
Okay.
And it's a good love letter to that era of movies. I don't know if I can recommend it, but the Deathstalker 2 is my favorite Batman.
I'm guessing this is like 1989.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
All right, we got a bunch of questions already, so give me one more D20 roll, and then we'll jump over to these viewer questions.
I'm so popular. I rolled 17 again.
That's fine. I got other questions.
I rolled 11 the second time.
Okay.
It's whichever one you want.
Which magical item from fiction would be the most useful in real life?
Oh shoot. I hate to make the reference because of the current climate, but the time turner from Harry Potter.
Okay.
Hermione's time turner.
Yeah.
That was the first thing that I thought of. I would use that constantly.
What would you use it for?
Can I be completely honest with you, Joe? I would use just sleep for another hour.
just catching up on rest.
That has always been my thing. If I had a superpower, I would just want like time manipulation so that I could pause time and sleep for another 30 minutes. Legitimately, that's my whole reasoning for it.
I mean, that's totally fair.
I would not be a superhero, but I'd be really well rested.
All right. We got a bunch of questions, so I'm just gonna switch us right over to these. Tech Frost, who you are well aware with. Was there a moment where you looked at your story during the writing process and thought, will people like this? If yes, how did you get past this question?
Yeah. Also high tech. But yeah, no, I feel that a lot. Because especially with Scion, I mean, I feel like that's a normal feeling for most writers of getting to a point in your story and wondering whether or not it's worth it, or whether or not people will like it. But like with Scion in particular, like Scion is my baby. Like I made Scion for me, and I'm just hoping that people will like it. But I think the big thing is, again, with the kind of themes that we're going for, is just kind of push through it. There will, maybe people won't, you know? Like, maybe you'll do it and there will be people who will be like, hey, I don't like this. Yeah. And screw them. Who cares? You're not making it for them anyway. You're making a thing for you to express yourself as well as kind of find the people that will like it. There is always somebody who will like it, and there's probably a crap ton of people who will like it. It's you just have to kind of recognize that not everyone's opinion really
matters.
You know, you don't have to worry about. Yeah. That's what I was gonna say, and I was like, that sounds horrible. I'm
a horrible person.
It's the people who won't like it just won't like it, and you're not making it for them anyway. Right. You're gonna find the audience. There's gonna be people who like it. And again with Scion is like they're using my direct example is that like there's been multiple times with Scion where I've written something and been like, I don't think that people are going to like this. I think this is going to be boring. I think there's one particular episode, I'll reference the episode, but I won't say what happens in it. But I set it up where they were just talking to a character who is an oracle. And I was like, this is gonna be really, really boring and no one's gonna like it. And it's the most reacted to and most liked episode on the YouTube, and the players were like, we adore this character and we love that episode. And so it's, you never know, and you just kind of gotta just do it. That's that's gonna be the tagline for this episode. Interview with Douglas. Just do it.
All right. The next question is by Sobacan. I think I'm saying that right. I apologize if I got it wrong. Is there a system that you would have had an interest in that you haven't been able to play yet?
Man, there's a few of those. Sticking with Onyx Path, I know Cursedborn looks really interesting. Beyond Onyx Path, I don't know the company that makes it. Do you know Deadlands?
Nope.
You heard of Deadlands? Okay, yeah. There's a tabletop setting called Deadlands, and I've seen of a lot, and it's basically like it's cowboys but steampunk cowboys.
Okay.
And like California has fallen into the ocean, and it's like an alternate history and stuff, and like that looks really cool. But the same company makes a pirate game as well, and it's that looks really cool. Also, I backed Morkborg. I backed their Kickstarter. And I've never played, so I was like, that art looks cool. Here's $5. But I think that's another setting I would really like to check out, would be Morkborg.
Okay.
Yeah, I think those.
Black Onyx says, ask them so I as a cast member can get the tea. I don't remember what that's in reference to, but I'm asking you so they can get tea.
Oh, I think that he's telling Root Cause Error to ask me questions.
Okay. Bibble.
That's Jordan in our cast.
Okay. Bibble says, as someone who don't know you, how would you describe yourself in one sentence?
That's a tough one. I am there's the generic tagline that I always use, which is I am a writer, a voice actor, and a self-proclaimed funny man. Yeah, I think since we're getting more real in this talk, I am a creative person that is just trying to do their best and share fun stories with my friends and friends that I haven't met yet.
Okay. Our last question, unless someone wants to throw something in at the buzzer, is from Cammy. Aside from your friends, what attributes do you look for in players?
That's a good question. I would say good improv skills and a comfortability with improv, as well as a willingness to work with people. Because I think a lot of what tabletop is a back and forth and a kind of, like it's a team effort. And so if as long as you're not somebody who's coming in and going, I'm going to be the main character, I'm going to play a paladin who never fails. More paladin hate. Yeah, because I've played with those people, and I played with players who, like, I played with the rogues that steal from the party. And
oh my god, I hate that so much.
Yeah.
Like, why? Why?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's never fun to have at a table.
No.
And so as long as you're willing to have those moments of being like, hey, this isn't my moment, or like you go into it going, okay, I want a moment, but how can I boost up other people's moments? Because I've also played with people who are like, well, I don't want to get in the way of other people, so I'm just going to sit there quietly the whole entire time. Which is that's not aggravating as stealing moments, but it's like, it's not, then you're not playing.
Right.
So it's the back and forth, the improv skills, and the ability to have a solid back and forth with people. Yeah. All
right. I think that is going to bring us to the end of tonight's interview. This has been amazing.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad you had a good time. I had a great time. Where can people find you? What are you doing? Where are you at next?
So you can find me on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitch, all at the same handle of Tales of Pantheons. Please, we also have a Discord. I don't know how to best. If you go to my, it's linked on all my channels. But feel free to join there if you want updates or to talk to me and the cast more directly. But yeah, definitely the YouTube and the Twitch. Check out the VODs, hear the stories that I've been talking about this whole entire time. And we generally stream every other Tuesday on Twitch. But this coming week, we will not be on Tuesday. We will be at the Onyx Path Convention, virtual convention, from the 5th to the 7th. But I will be on a panel on the 5th. And then on the 6th, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we will be doing our 7th episode. And if you are coming here and know anything about my Scions session, I built it in that every 7th episode, something insane happens. So, yeah.
So it's going to be a good episode.
Yeah, it should be. I'm really looking forward to it.
All right. That is going to bring us to the end of tonight. You can catch us tomorrow for Forging Fate Season 2 Shattered Seas, where we have the other table that Abe is not a part of. But you can catch us on Wednesday, where Abe is coming back to the table. That being said, I've got nothing else. We're going to raid out to Crit Hit Chronicles. Give Cujo our love, because we love him and he's an amazing human being. I've got nothing else. If you guys got nothing else, remember, we love you, geeks. Good night.